everyone, I'm back and this is part 2 of sealing and gessoing my panels in preparation for painting on them. Okay, so hi, this is Astrid Reeves and this is Astrid's Art Studio. Welcome to my studio. So, hi. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit of a different obviously a different video angle. You see I have all of these wooden panels here that I'm prepping. And what am I doing, you might ask? Well, I talked about in an earlier video that first of all, I like painting on wooden panels, but there's a little prep work involved, just like there is with a canvas, but as I discovered recently, that there's a lot more work to be done for a wooden panel. So what I'm doing is I'm using gloss medium, golden gloss medium. See, it says just gloss medium. It's not gloss pouring medium. It's just gloss medium, right? And so this is the perfect thing to use to seal wooden panels and also canvases. And so I've already done 3 coats on the back. You can see the sheen there. So I just do 3 on the back and 3 on the front and sides, and that seals the panel all the way around so that the support-induced discoloration that I talked about in an earlier video, also called substrate-induced discoloration. Basically what it is if you don't seal this panel properly, then whatever's in the wood can actually leak through, and since there's water in the paint, and as it dries, it draws whatever's in the wood through into the paint. So you don't want to do that. You want to create that nice barrier so it's not sucking moisture out of the wood and other stuff with it, and color. You know, that's why it's discoloration. So anyway, so that's what I'm doing. So I've already sealed 1 coat on each one of these panels. Well, this one is white because I had to work out the timing for this. Anyway, long story. This one's waiting for another coat of gesso, but I've got it lined up and it's ready to go when I get to that point. Okay, so what I like to do after the first layer of gloss medium is I like to sand the sides, because not so much the top. I mean, I could sand it a little bit. Oops. Just lightly sand. Yeah, so now that's nice and smooth. And I'm going to do the sides too. The sides, because it's the edge of the wood, see how the edge is there? That seems to raise up the grain more than the top. But just a real light sanding. I don't really know my grit sandpaper. I can let you know in an upcoming video. So I'm just going to sand all of these all the way around. I don't need to, I do it in different directions. I don't need to do the back side because, you know, that's the back side of the painting. Okay, good. So that one's ready to go. So I'm just gonna run on down the line here, and oops, sticking. And just make sure that all of these are smooth for the next layer of gloss medium, okay? Sometimes it works best to go against the grain like I'm doing. I'm going across the grain, just like cutting a piece of meat. Sometimes, well, I don't know. I don't know if that's the same concept, but same reasoning, but yeah. Anyway, I'm doing that here. Good. Yeah, this one's pretty rough. Going on here. Oh, kind of an uneven edge. All right, don't need to sand that one. And here's the last one. Okay. Okay, so there you go, everything's sanded. Anyway, here's a closer look at what I'm using. I just got it from Home Depot. I think it's like I said, I don't know my grit, but maybe 200, something like that. All right. Okay, so now I take just a nice brush. It's very soft. I got it at Home Depot. Very soft synthetic bristle brush and, you know, Tupperware. And I'm just going to pour some gloss medium in there. Now the second and third layers don't get soaked up as much. I use a lot on the first layer because it just soaks right in the wood. And okay, so I'm just going to put layer number 2 on. Oops. That is not supported well. There we go. So just nice quick layer. Thin, doesn't have to be thick. You don't want it to be thick. You just want a nice thin layer. And I thought about it. You know, I've heard recommendations 2 layers, even 3. I do 3, just because I like to make extra sure that everything's fine. And you might think, well, why do that many layers? Well, have you ever painted the walls of your house? And they always recommend 2 coats. And if you look closely, you'll see that the paint on the first layer did not get all the way in all the little tiny holes in the wall, tiny little dimples, right? So yeah, you know, so it makes sense that you'd want to do at least 2 coats to get a nice seal and make sure that you've coated it everywhere, you know, every little seam, crack, you name it, right? So that's why. Makes sense. Okay, so that's the basic concept. And, oh, I could talk a little bit about why, you know, why I'm getting so many panels ready. Well, I discovered, I keep reading the Golden website, and especially regarding the matte medium that I just started using, and they said, well, you can use it 1-to-1 ratio mixture with gesso. And you want to do 2 layers of gesso, but you got to let it dry 3 days in between each layer of gesso. Otherwise, something else can happen. Something bad, basically more cracks, in the painting. And I thought, oh gosh, 3 days in between layers of gesso, that's the story behind this one. And, so, you don't want to paint on it while the gesso is still drying, because then it's just going to mess up your painting and cause textural issues. In fact, I'll link that same article down below. It talks about, making mud cracks. I'm like, oh my gosh, first there's crazing, now there's mud cracks. What next, right? Oh my gosh. So anyway, so then I thought, okay, well, let me go calculate back in time. When do I need to actually start this whole process so that this wooden panel is finally ready for painting? Now, the other thing too is I like my paintings to be archival, and that's always just been my thing. So I've always been in search for what is the best way to do something so that it's a lasting product, so that when I sell my paintings, my customer will have the best painting that I can possibly make, and it'll last a long time and not get dry and dusty looking and whatnot, So yeah, so that's why I take it to that level. That's just a personal thing, Maybe others work their way up to that. I don't know. I'm starting there. So, yeah. That's me. So, okay, so back to my story. Right. So, I was like, okay, so when do I start sealing? I'm basically, I can do 2 coats in a day. Maybe I should wait longer in between. But, yeah. It's a thin coat, dries really fast, so I figure I'm safe with that until I hear otherwise, right? And so, that's what I'm doing with these, with sealing the panels. Now with gessoing, I've worked it out that to wait 3 days in between each layer of gesso, so each layer of gesso is dry. Yeah. So I worked my way back with that schedule in mind, and wouldn't you know it, it takes me 10 days, basically. Oh my gosh, because, well, why would that be? Well, because, I have to do 3 coats on the back of the panel. I also realized that I should do the back of the panel first so that I can sit it. I don't want to rest it on the front. Do the front first and then rest it on the front and do the back. So I'm doing the back first, 3 coats. That takes a day and a half, basically. And then flip it over, 3 coats on the other side. It's another day or 2, something like that, right? And then I want to let it dry for 24 hours. Then I put on the first layer of gesso, let that dry for 3 days, and then put on the second layer of gesso, let that dry for 3 days, and then paint. So that winds up being 10 days. And so now I'm really thinking ahead, and I thought, well, since this takes so long, why not just do, let's see, did I get all the, yes. why not just do all the, do a batch at the same time? So I set up this table. This is different than my painting table. Luckily I have two tables in my studio, and I can work on this over here and, give them room to dry properly while I'm painting on the other table. So this works out great. So that's the story. 10 days. Really have to plan in advance. So much for spontaneous art making for me. Well, I can still be spontaneous. I just have to make sure that I have wooden panels prepped and ready to go. So there you have it. That's the story. So after, I'm gonna let this dry. This is, the beginning of the day for me. I'm gonna switch over to my other activities, which happens to be bookkeeping. And then at the end of my day before I leave, I'm going to do another coat, the last coat, and then let that dry overnight. And then I'll do a little bit short on my timeline on this batch, but just get better and better, right? There's always room for improvement. At least I have the correct, estimation of effort, right? Because I could always be perpetually trying to figure it out, scratching my head, going, God, why? I don't, what I have to do. So I just sat down and figured it out. Sometimes there are logistics involved. So now I just take my finger and make sure that it's not too thick. It's kind of hard to tell on the sides. So I smooth it around, make sure it's a nice even layer all the way around. And if I need to, I'll sand before the final layer. And then it's ready for gessoing. Okay, I have sealed all these panels. This one I gessoed yesterday because it's a little ahead of the others. But I sealed both sides 3 times, both sides, and now I'm getting ready to put on the first layer of gesso, and then I'm going to wait 3 days, and then I'm going to put on the second and final layer of gesso. I think you'll get the idea after the first layer. Alright, so let's begin. The panels are dry, and smooth and ready to go. So here is my soft brush that I'm using that I just got at Home Depot, and you can see, it's just a narrow brush, wide brush, makes it easy to get down a lot of gesso fast. And then this is just a mixture of 1:1 gesso and matte pouring medium, so that I have, so I have self-leveling gesso, so I don't have to worry about stripes, streaks showing through my paintings. Hallelujah. Right? Oh my gosh. So here is, let's see. Yeah, so this is the matte medium that I mixed it with, and this is my gesso. I have a large bucket of it. Okay. Alright, so let's start. Now this is going to go down really thick. I want it to give a chance to level itself. So even though you can see stripes, I don't know if you can or not, see stripes, I can see it looks glossy, but it's going to dry matte. It's just going to be beautiful. And this is such a wonderful thing, because before I discovered this, I would do this to my wooden panels, and as you know, wooden panels have no give to them, so you can't really smooth it out very easily. There's always, some stripe somewhere. I have not discovered the secret, but until this stuff, and this stuff is just wonderful. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and gesso the rest of these panels. Just want to get rid of some of the excess so I don't waste any. Okay, and there you have it. All 5 panels are gessoed with 1 layer, and actually 1 out of 4 is on its 2nd layer of gesso, and they'll be ready to go in 3 days. In 3 days, the rest of these guys will get another layer of gesso, and then I can paint on them. I'm so excited. This will provide lots of different projects. I have lots of ideas. I can't wait to get started. Okay, thanks for watching, and if you're new to my channel, please like and subscribe down below, and leave any comments, questions, anything. I'd be happy to hear from you. Okay, thanks a lot. Bye. All right, so here are my 4 panels gessoed and ready to go. I did it according to the schedule, and you can see it's so smooth. I don't know if you could see that, but it's just so smooth and flat. And each panel has been gessoed and sealed twice. Actually sealed 3 times and gessoed twice. And I'll turn one over. It's my lunchbox. You could see on the back, whoops, you know, that it's sealed all the way around. So, and it's sealed like that on the front too. So there you have it, sealing and gessoing wooden panels.